Well, hello, all my Be in Demand listeners. I have a treat for you. And I swear, every time I have a guest, I say the same thing. I've got a treat. That's just because I love all of my guests. But I brought on a very special woman. She's a special friend of mine also. And we are really going to be talking about women and our voices and speaking up and having that confidence to share what's inside with the rest of the world. So I am going to let the wonderful Sylvia actually introduce herself.
Well,
Take it
thank
away,
you
girl.
so much, Laurie-Ann, for having me on your podcast. When you sent the email asking me, that was just a no-brainer. It was, yes, I want to be there. We talk about very, very similar things in our line of work. So I thought this was going to be a really fun conversation because you get it what our women are what our people are dealing with. Well, I am Sylvia, coming live right now. I am in Montreal, Canada. I wear different hats, Laurie-Ann, but all of the hats, all of my life has had to do with voice. I was a singer when I was young. I remember making up songs, like a young Taylor Swift. And then I formalized that and did a bachelor's of education. Quickly realized I was not a diva. I was not a classical singer. So left the stage there, but went into management. I guess, elaborating other people's messages. And that's their voices as well through large scale events and fundraising. I then left that and I recertified. I was 40 and pregnant with my third baby, and I wanted to have more impact. I decided to become a doula. And I realize now that was also advocating for women's voices on a different level. Right. In the birth room, not screaming, "Oh my God, I'm giving birth," but I want the most positive birth possible. How can you help me have that? And I've been running that company for 10 years. I am also a voiceover actor and sharing my voices and helping people sell their products and sell their ideas through video and radio and TV. And then I spend a lot of my time helping women use their voices as a visibility coach. So it's been quite recent that I had the aha that all of my parcours, as we would say here in Montreal in French, my arc has been about the voice. So wow. That is, I'm a mom of 3 kids. They're 11. No, they let me do this in order: 9, 11, and 13. I've been with my sweetheart for 20 years. I live by the water. I'm from the West Coast, but I live in the East Coast.
So fun.
I don't drink coffee. I don't know. There you go.
Okay. I have so many questions for you, but here's a couple of questions that I have just to kind of like warm us up to this interview. And these are a couple of questions that I ask all of my guests. What are you super proud of?
Whoa, so many things. And but my kids popped up first when I had, I didn't know you were going to ask that. But they did pop up. So I'll be a good mom but let's say giving birth in the way that I wanted to. And I was very lucky that all the stars aligned and I had a wonderful team. And that's what got me to becoming a doula at the time, to share that birth can be positive and powerful and beautiful. And it doesn't have to look like an ER episode. Right. All the time. So the drama. So very proud of that. My businesses, launching into business without knowing too much about it and creating the life that I want to be living. I think I am proud of that as well.
That's very nice. I have more to ask you on that. So what habit, here's question number 2, is what habit?
I feel like I'm on a game show, Laurie-Ann.
Yeah, don't you? What habit could you not live without?
What habit? Okay, well, I don't know. Am I allowed to say that? Oh my gosh. I went to my favorite drink and I was like, but it's not coffee, but I like rum and cokes on the weekend, but that's not a favorite habit, I guess. But I walk. I love to being out in nature. And I love the aspect. My ritual around walking is it is to be physical and movement. It is to be out in nature. I talk to the trees. I talk to the water and the grass. They answer back, and when I get to my, halfway point, I will sit and I will meditate, whatever that looks like for me, sit in silence. And then on the way back, on the way, I was listening to podcasts, or Audible books. So I cover a lot of, markers with that walk in the morning. And then on my way back, I take all the sound out and I just really am in tune with the sounds around me. And then I come back in the morning and then I'm refreshed and I'm ready to go. I've set my intentions for the day. So that is a habit that I took that after my little one was 3 and I hadn't been exercising for a long time. And I started having some issues, as a lot of postpartum moms do, and really needed to hone in on that well-being factor because I wasn't taking care of myself as a mom with 3 kids and, in 4-year span.
Wow. I do hear that question of walking as a habit from a lot of my guests. And I completely agree. It's like, I feel like I have to get out of the house at least once a day. And I try to make it that intention that it's, like just to get out in nature, just to be outside.
Well, it's so grounding. And I am a person, I am grounded, but I think that helps me stay grounded as well when everything, all the chaos and all of the rumbles that are happening in the world. Well, that's my safe haven. That is I feel, Mother Earth doesn't let us down. And so that I'm very, very uplifted that's my happy spot. Yeah.
Nice. So let's talk about women, their voices or hiding in the shadows. I know personally from my past experience, I'm a reformed, painfully shy girl who was, couldn't even make eye contact, let alone talk to people. And, somewhere along the line, I just intuitively knew that it wasn't going to serve me in the long run. So I did that's how I was able to teach myself to make eye contact and talk to people, because I would do it for a few seconds and then okay, they didn't bite. The ground didn't swallow me up. I can do it again.
You didn't die, Laurie-Ann. You didn't die.
I didn't, but I see it in my clients, and you and I talked before we started hitting record, it's just something that we see, us don't talk. We can't, we can't talk. We can't say what's really on our mind or what's really on our heart. What the hell is wrong with us?
What's going on?
Why?
And I don't want to generalize, and because some people say, well, I'm not like that. And I say, well, no, not everybody, but you just come further along. But there are a lot. And I think it comes down to the upbringings that we've had as children, not to raise your voice, not to ask questions, not to be curious, and being banished when you are, talking loudly, and having kids. I can see how that can happen. A lot of fear. I think it's really just so much fear. And again, because perhaps in past, you were knocked down for raising the voice, or, made to feel stupid when you raised your hand in class and didn't get the right answer. People might have laughed at you. And those messages, as we talk a lot in the groups that we're in about, the stories that creates, it just needs to happen one time.
Oh yeah.
When I worked with children in singing, if a lot of them already had that, no, I was told I'm not a good singer, or I'm not allowed to sing in class, because, and I'm like, oh my gosh, who are these adults teaching the children these things? And I think then it just goes with us. I was painfully shy too. So much so, Laurie-Ann, I would cross the road when I would see other teenagers coming my way. I just did not want, so not even looking at them. I would just cross the road and then cross back.
Right. I can totally relate to that. But that's something that now that in hindsight, I'm looking back on it a couple of years ago, I realized I learned that from my mother.
There you go.
My mother is afraid of people.
Yeah,
so she would grocery store, here's the cart. We're walking down the aisle. She sees one of our neighbors down there.
She runs the other way.
Runs the other way. So I'm just this little young kid. And so that's what you're right. We just learned this. I saw this over and over again. And I just thought, That's what you're
That's what you do. You see someone. While now, I must say, I get riled up when I see people on my street and I'm walking right by them and they don't even look at you. Like, we're the only two people on the street.
Right.
Just say hello. I am here. Do you not see me? So I say hello to everybody. But somewhere along the way, these stories, like you said, we learn them and we bring them into our adulthood. Until that moment, we become aware. I remember the same thing getting to university. I was quite shy in high school, but getting to university, different stage. And I said, and I was in music, classical singing. So they had a lot of people that were very extroverted and all about performance. So I said, well, if I'm going to have to play that game, I'm going to play the game. So I came out of my shell and thankfully, because that's the true me, who I had been hiding.
Yeah.
And it was all fear-based. What if, I remember taking singing lessons. What if they don't like my voice? What if they criticize? And here I went into a classical music program where that's all they do all day long is you sing, you criticize, and you get feedback, right? So, which I realized, that's hard. That's hard. You have to have a strong backbone. And I finished the degree and had a wonderful time. But yes, fear of being seen, fear of being heard, fear of being criticized and judged and laughed at. Look at all the list.
There's such a huge list of the different fears that hold us back, not just from speaking, from so many, just like from
life.
Yes.
Right.
Life.
Like, look at your mom. I mean, and like the fear there, what, had she had those conversations, maybe she would have had more friends. I don't know your mom, but right. If we take that step and take that inspired action, how our lives could be different.
And not even just like my mom's life, but like, how would that have trickled down to like her 4 daughters and, 3 of my sisters, they all have children. Like, right. What is the ripple effect of just one person learning to speak up, share their voice, not being, like, and you and I, this is something that we talk about a lot too, is like not being attached to what we say, and like just being curious and asking questions and like, why is something like that? And why can't I just say, hey, I don't like what's happening here, or like, hey, I'd really like to enjoy this a little bit more. Instead we just kind of
we do, and we clam up. But I work with business women entrepreneurs in their prime. And you're in your prime if you are in your prime. If you're asking, am I in my prime? Then you probably are not yet. So you're too young.
You're under prime.
You're under prime. You're not there yet. But no, if you are hiding in your business, and even if you are in a career and you are hiding, that you just can't sell in your business if you're hiding. If you're too worried about what people are going to, you will always be judged. Yes. No matter what you do, what you say, there's always going to be someone who doesn't.
Here's what's funny about that whole judgment thing is that, judgment can be, it can be like, usually when we hear the word judgment, we think of it's negative. But what if the judgment is positive?
Oh, yeah.
But we always go for the
criticism. Yeah.
Criticism instead of like, wow, you have a great voice. That message that you just shared that I saw you do that live, that was great. But we instantly go to, people are going to judge me and it's going to be negative and hurtful.
Oh yeah. The thing, I will entice, as a visibility coach, entice clients to go live on Facebook, to even posting though. Some people are not even at the stage of doing video and live and speaking like, your clients on stage. Sometimes just to even post their thoughts and taking a stand for what you believe in and what you are passionate about, that even needs to be a first step for many. And if you've not been taught to share your ideas and encouraged to do so, there's work to do there. So we do a lot of delving into, who are you? What are your dreams? You matter. Just because you're on this planet, you matter. I want to know.
I was having a conversation earlier today with another woman, And like for me, like one of the things that propels me like in my business and in the work that I do with clients is that I don't want to have any regrets. So
Mm.
like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, I don't ever want to look back and regret what I didn't do. So that like that's the fire under my butt. But I know like a lot of people, like even a lot of my clients, like that doesn't work for them because it's just like it's the I'll do it later excuse. And like we know, like later just never happens.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I think too, I had a big milestone birthday this year. I will say that. Yes, I
Congratulations.
joined a certain 50 club, the
Club.
5.0 club. I like that one. I joined the
Welcome.
5.0,
Welcome to the
Sylvia.
fifth generation club, as I like to
Thank you.
call it.
I like that one. And I think as we get older, there is a certain, I think sometimes I see a lot of it in the women I work with. It does click that, yeah, I actually don't care what everyone else thinks. I think we care more in our 20s and in our 30s. We're often looking for love, looking for partnerships and friends and communities to belong to. Once we've done all that, we have our core, people in our lives, then I think as we age, that experience, it can allow us to move into that space where, you know what, I don't give a damn. I really don't.
I think it's freeing to be able
It's
to
very freeing.
share your thoughts, share your voice. I mean, like talk about like when you share something, when you get it out of you, it's like for me, it's like I just feel so much lighter.
The release.
A
Yes.
release. Yes.
Yeah. And I think alignment too. I know when I am not being my true self and I'm hiding, because I hide, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I hide, and as we're up leveling, or
Mm-hmm.
as we up level, no matter what level we're at, there's always going to be, a ceiling there that you're like, oh, this is feeling prickly now, and I need to move past it. So we all experience that. And it's what what that next step is. Are we going to allow the fear to take the wheel of our life? Or are we going to just say, thanks for, showing up, telling, me you're afraid. I talk a lot about the inner critic, and not banishing her, but actually embracing her and thanking her and putting her in a timeout. And so that you can still move forward.
Do you have a name for her? I'm going to share with you the name of my inner critic that tells me to hide.
Yeah, I want to know, Laurie-Ann, what's your name? What's her name?
Eunice.
Eunice.
And like when I told my coach this, because she was the one, she was like, "Well, name it." And I said Eunice, and she was like, "That's such an old name." I said, "That's exactly it." So,
well, I will share. I did a workshop a couple of weeks ago, and we did this inner critic exercise, and I did it with my podcast co-host, my friend Jenny, and she said her inner critic's name is Phyllis. So Eunice and Phyllis. And then one of our other guests said her critic's name is Gladys. So we've got an is going on. We got Eunice and Gladys and Phyllis all just hanging out and having tea together.
Yes. I'm like picturing like this, like almost as a greeting card now.
Yes. With the three. I haven't named mine, but now I'm going to have to find names.
I think you got to find a name.
If any of you listening out there have some suggestions, please pop them in the comments.
Yes. What else this is making me think of is one of the things that I used to say when I was doing executive coaching, you think of like the board of directors, kind of like as your critic. Sometimes it's like, like the board of directors that is, it's like I would tell my clients, tell your board of directors that, the meetings ended, that they are all free to leave and go on vacation. And so I'm picturing all of these like older clients, our isses, yes. It's like, okay, ladies, it's tea time's over.
Tea time is over. That is right. And move forward. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So important. So important.
Yeah. So, from your college music degree, you became a voiceover actress.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super curious because I would think, well, like with any job that I ever had, I just learned so much about myself. And the fact that like, we're talking about voice and sharing your voice, and you were actually a voiceover actress. And as you explained in your intro, that you were using your voice to sell other people's products and services. What my first question is, How did you get into that work? And the second question is, what did you learn about yourself and your voice?
Yeah, great question. I got into that, I would say, maybe between 10 and 15 years ago. And having a classical voice training, I mean, again, voice always having been there, and singing and learning diction and learning phrase structure and all of that really, really helped me. But I never went out and said, I want to be a voice actor like so many people do. I was too shy to be in front of the camera growing up, so I never took that, but I, took lessons or acting lessons. But I had the opportunity to do my husband is in production for film and video. And he was like, can you read this? And we're going to record it, and I'll get the professionals. They're going to come in, but we're going to edit it on your voice, and the professionals will come in and do it, and I was like, okay, sure. And I'll just read it off. And he's like, hey, you've got a knack for this. He says, maybe you should look into it. And he knew an agent who, was looking for some new clients. And well, actually I say they were looking, but actually I sent my demo. We did a demo, and she said, I already have voices like yours. I'll try and send it out to some auditions and see what happens. And then the next day did an audition. They hired me. And then she wrote back saying, you're on the roster. We want you. So talk about opportunities, right? It's and not hiding. Had I been hiding and not wanting to, I said, let's do this. It was fun. It was something that I had not looked into before. And then here we are, 10 years later. I don't do character voices. That's not my style, but I do a lot of e-learning commercials on television. I do some character and roles, but it's so diverse. Training manuals for lots of, Air Canada, different companies. And what did I learn about myself? Well, you have to get over the fear of listening to your own voice and the criticism that comes with listening to your own voice. Because that is a lot. I'm sure if you do that exercise where you get your clients to film themselves and they have to watch themselves or listen to themselves, then, everyone says, oh, I hate my voice. I hate my voice. So I've learned to, that's something I learned about myself very early on doing this work, is to banish that, again, Phyllis, Gladys, and Eunice, and, and then enjoying listening to it objectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do have my clients, not just watch the video of themselves speaking, but then also shut the audio off and just watch themselves. And then the third one is to shut the video off and just listen.
Listen, yes.
Because you'll pick up different things from each of them.
Oh, definitely. Like, and that's very uncomfortable. It is very having done it. It's uncomfortable, but it's such a learning moment.
In National Speakers Association, NSA, which I'm a member of, one of the things that we say, if other people had to sit and listen and watch you, then you can also.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, it's true, all the ums and the ahs and the, what do you do with your hands? And as a performer, we did all of that, but singing wise, right? So it's very similar. So it's
that one is that's such a popular one. And I just tell people, like, you don't worry about it. That's what you do with it. You just don't worry about it. Unless it's distracting the audience. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
So, hey, I know that you just ran a 3-part series. I think it was called Build Your Confidence.
Yes.
I want to talk about that. And what did people learn? Because I know that you taught your very unique process. Can we talk about that?
Oh, I would love to. I created the So Vibrant framework, and that encompasses 3 things. It encompasses working on building a confident mindset, a confident voice, and confident inspired action. So the 3 things. So the mind, the voice, and then putting ourselves out there. And the workshop, was so lovely, so amazing. To see everyone come together and to realize that no matter where you are in your journey, confidence comes up. We don't often. The thing is that a lot of people think they have to be 100% confident before taking action. They
And
feel that their website has to be perfect, that the copy has to be perfect, that they need to know their messaging. And that's not true. That is not true. It is a learning curve. It is one step. I always say Rome was not built in a day, but it was also built brick by brick. And we just, use these stepping stones. So the conference, that's exactly what we had. We talked about Eunice and embracing the inner critic. That was, on the first, it was a 3-day workshop. Then we also talked about, how to show up powerfully. What does that mean to you? Because we often take someone else's definition of what that means. People will say, when I say that, well, let's show up powerfully. Oh, I don't want to do video. I know so-and-so is doing video. I say, well, it doesn't matter. You show up. Let's, it's personal to you. So talking about that. And then the last day was cultivating and building your confidence. I think I called it cultivate and grow your confidence. And really, what are the inspired actions that we can, because cultivating and growing, I like that analogy with my love of nature is, a tree grows, but slowly and over time, and she changes. And so do we as businesswomen. Yes. And what will that look like? I do share this story a lot. I would say maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I could not put myself out there. I literally could not. I had performed and I these waves come and go, and I just could not do Facebook Lives or go on YouTube or Instagram, none of that. And then I had to work. I worked with someone. It's like, I got to get rid of this. And there were a lot of stories coming up. My hair wasn't nice and I'm too old. All of these, lots to do with aging at the time. I was in my early 40s. And after that work, wow, just like peeling the onions, it opened up, and now I can talk anywhere and everywhere. And that just, opened up for me. So that's what I like to do with others. So that workshop, the 3, build your confidence 3-day workshop, it was so fun. And it leads into my, what I've created is called So Confident Community, where it is a membership style platform where we come together and we build our confidence together through different kinds of trainings, where members will practice being confident. We'll break into groups and let's practice our pitches. You have a video you want to show and want some feedback, put it in the group. I'm an avid reader. I have a list of books that we're going through as a book club, and I love happy hours. I think you know that, Laurie-Ann.
Yes.
So I don't have these ask me anything, but I have happy hours where you can ask me anything. And
right.
But it really all to build community, because I really think that we are stronger together. We just are.
Right. I love that. And I just kind of wanted to go back to that, the 100% confident.
Yeah.
And I don't think we ever get to 100% confident. No. It's just, like, how confident do you need to be? Because I think it's about teaching our nervous system. Like, too many times we think, well, I need to be 100% confident in order to do that. But like when I really ask my clients, like, well, what does 100% confidence really look like? But it's really just about, I think, about teaching our nervous system that I can, like, stand up tall, shoulders back, walk into a networking event, extend my hand, share my pitch. I recently did, about a month or so ago, a podcast episode on your elevator pitch. Cause now that, when things started to open up, it's like, cause I'm also hosting and
we're rusty again. Are we rusty? We need
yes. And what I'm noticing is, I'm like, it's an introduction. It's a commercial, not a documentary. It's a commercial.
Yes.
Not an apology. I'm just hearing people like really ramble on.
Oh, yes.
I'm grateful that they're at least, practicing their speaking skills, but let's fine tune them now so that, like, the reason why you came to the networking event is to either educate people on what you do so that you can get referrals, or maybe even sign on, get some new business from these events also. So
yeah, and the rambling on, remember, like, right? I mean, people, if you go on too long and using words that people don't understand, they will tune out, just like you tune out when others do that. So it has to be, getting them engaged in what you have to say, and that was with body language and you getting excited. Everything is vibration. everything. So the more we're on this high frequency vibe, they will sense that and get excited and be listening more. And then they'll ask questions, right? So you don't have to say everything in that one breath. You just have to come in and say, yes, I help women entrepreneurs in their prime with their visibility, and I grow their confidence so they can market themselves with confidence and grow their businesses. And then they, boom,
done. So that then I walk up to you afterwards and I'm just like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Yeah. It's like permission to now have like a 5 to 10 minute conversation. Right. I love it. Is there any way that people can sign up or I'm hoping that you're going to do that 3-part series again?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think I definitely will. And for the community, yes, my website would be the best place to go to, which is so-vibrant.com. I think it'll be in the show notes. Have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and I have a podcast as well.
Tell my listeners about your podcast.
Oh, it's so fun. It was a pandemic podcast.
I love that.
A friend, my best friend from music school, who is now also an executive coach and a fundraising expert. We have the best conversations about money and women and how women don't manage their money. And for a lot, like only 50% of women manage their own money. And going forward, the statistic says that men die off first. So a lot of women are left managing their money, but know nothing about it. So we have these wonderful conversations. We said, we have to put this out there. We can't be the only ones having this. So we started a podcast. It's morphed into more than money. It morphed into leadership and using your voice, playing bigger, be intentional, and conquering those limiting beliefs and stories. And it's called Your Next 50. And it's all about really, what is your next chapter going to say? You are in full control of that chapter. What decisions do you have to make? What choices? What I always call it, what sandbox do you want to play in?
Yes. Yeah. I love that. And I'm going to make sure that the link to her podcast will be down in the show notes.
Thank you.
So I have 2 wrap-up questions, kind of like the beginning questions.
Oh.
And you already kind of like mentioned you have a love for books. So what books are currently on your nightstand?
Well, I have about 20 of them, Laurie-Ann.
All right. 2 or 3 of your favorites.
I will not make a huge list. That's true. I am reading Fierce with Compassion. I believe that's the name of it. And that's a great book. If I had it, I would show it to you here. I do not have that one here. I am also reading, what else? A book called Ishmael, which a lot of people might not have heard of. And it's all about, I've only just started it, and it's about our impact on planet Earth. But told, there's a gorilla in there, there's a man in there, the gorilla talks. So it's out there. It was written, I believe, in the 70s. And that's a wonderful book. And what else? I'm having a blank now. I'd have to take you into my room and
that's okay. Those are the
2 that came up to mind. Yes.
And what is some advice that you wish you had learned years ago?
That's always so good. Yeah, be yourself. That comes to mind. How often did I try and be someone else? And I see my daughters looking at TikTok and Instagram and, wanting to be like Charlie or, whoever's got the 10 million followers there. Right. Yes. And changing. That's be yourself, because that is when, when we talk about that vibration again, when you are your true self and acting in accordance and doing things that you love, it all just resonates and you feel so good. Yeah. In your body and in your mind, and you're happy.
When you feel good in yourself, in your life, in your skin, that it just makes this journey so much more enjoyable.
Yes. Yeah. So much. Yeah. That would be my tip to everybody. Be yourself. Speak your truth.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. This has been a fabulous conversation. All of the information will be down in the show notes, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Laurie-Ann. This has been a wonderful conversation. And I just felt it flowed, right? Sometimes, and again, because we're talking about what we're passionate about, it just flows.
That's right. It just flows. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.